platforms. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show. A show that is not for entertainment purposes only. Today we have Jesse Howe is here with us today. And I've known Jesse personally for a couple of years now. And I've been on his show a couple of times. But Jesse is someone who he works so hard on his platforms, and like myself, has been chopped at the knees a number of times, but the man jumps right back up and runs on his knees if he has to until we can get back up on his feet. He's lost, I think Jesse said, about 8 YouTube platforms, and I'm sure other platforms as well. For what? For telling the truth. For speaking the truth. These are the penalties that people like Jesse and I and many others go through in order to try to bring some truth to y'all guys. Is that on your side, Jesse?
Yeah, I was just clicked to the link. I guess you might have heard it through my headphones on the microphone, but I put it on to. I just wanted to see. I opened up your YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah, it sounded like a siren or something. Anyways, Jesse is an honorable man, and we can still hear quite a bit of feedback, Jesse.
Oh yeah, I'll just put it on mute. That
sounds like a siren or something. I apologize. So anyways, I'll finish introducing Jesse, and then we're going to go straight to Jesse, because Jesse is a really special feller, and he has talked or interviewed in excess of 800 different individuals, a few more than once. Like myself, he's interviewed twice, but he's talked to people all over the world, not just average normal people. This man talks to some of the greatest minds, or should I say greatest free minds around the world. And I really want to dig into Jesse today and try to understand what he's learned, because he set out on a mission to find the missing link, which is the name of his channel, the Missing Link Live. Like, I'll show you his website, or his Rumble site. Actually, do you have an actual website, Jesse?
No, we actually haven't created a website yet. Just been so busy with all the shows and booking and trying to keep the head above water that I know how to design websites. I went to web design school 25 probably years ago, but just haven't, had the time or, know exactly how I want to create it. So we're just on platforms. We don't advertised. With everything is we've never paid for a subscriber. Everything is just all organically grown from word of mouth and people sharing our stuff out.
All right. So Jesse, let me ask Jesse a question. If if Jesse was interviewing Jesse, what would Jesse ask Jesse?
Jesse was interviewing Jesse. What would Jesse ask Jesse? That's a interesting question. I've never heard that.
Well, you know,
Base.
some of your deepest understandings are. You're seeking knowledge. What have you learned? What would Jesse ask Jesse? Because Jesse needs to tell other people about this.
Well, the thing is that everybody's got a story to tell, and we are looking for any missing links about the world or the person that is being interviewed. We're obviously we're not looking at the monkey as the missing link. That's not, we don't believe in that fairy tale that we evolved from monkeys, so that has nothing to do with that. But people really believe what they believe, even if it's false teachings, even if it's false doctrine. And it's a lot harder to, when you got a good BS detector, to detect someone's, not being honest when they believe in something that's dishonest and they truly believe it. And a lot of people can maybe view or see the same type of, say, supernatural occurrence. And if someone is very religiously indoctrinated, they're going to see it as an angel or a demon. And if someone is very scientifically indoctrinated, that same entity or spirit could maybe come to them as an alien or some other thing, because they're going to meet a person where they're at, And so I kind of see things that, there is source energy creation. There is, God who connects with each and every single one of us in different ways. And, there is this supernatural force out there. And that if someone needs to have an experience with, say, a good alien, that angel of light maybe pose as an alien, because that's where that person needs to see that person. And I've interviewed a lot of different people on the spiritual realm, on the contactee realm. And, that's a question I'd like to pose them, is that, do you think that this energy, this source creation, is meeting you where you're at because you believe in these aliens, so they're going to more pose as an alien, because maybe you would reject, if you're scientifically or alien based, you would reject it if it came looking like an angel or a demon.
I've heard the word familiar spirits before related to that kind of way of thinking, and it does make some sense that maybe you would be approached by certain things, because I've probably spoken to you about how many times I've had angels come to me. If you remember from some of our previous conversation, they come to me as a ball of light. Um, they the majority of the times it was pretty close up. It was like maybe 30 to 50 yards right in front of me, and they would always appear normally directly in front of me. So they came to me. These supernatural entities came to me as a ball of light, in which over the years, I started researching and digging and reading historical texts and biblical texts and non-biblical texts, and looking at paintings and looking what previous men that seen these things, what they thought. And what they thought as well confirmed what I was feeling, is that they are supernatural angels. But going back to what you were saying, it's interesting, the thought of they've got to come to you in a way to that you're going to relate to and interact with, maybe, and then over time maybe it can ultimately turn and evolve in what you're dealing with, in order to take you to this place that ultimately you need to go and need to learn. So yeah, I like that way of thinking, Jesse. So tell me more about what Jesse would ask Jesse.
what are his views on where we're at when it comes to scriptures, maybe prophecy, because I really think that these powers that be that are maybe pulling the strings here, whether you want to call it the Jesuits, the Zionists, the Illuminati, the 13 families, the Freemasons. I think they're all kind of interchange one and the same, maybe all working together, and I think they're using people's, faith and belief in God and the Bible scriptures, and they're using it more of a playbook, and they're making things happen for people to, oh, look, it was prophesized to happen. And because I never think that God would want any of what's in Revelations to happen. I don't think God wrote that this is what was going to happen. I think that it was actually written in order for dark people to justify their shitty behavior, and a way and a means to get people to go along with their enslavement, because prophecy said it was supposed to happen. So I think that is more of a playbook than actually something that was prophesized to happen.
Okay, so let me clarify so I understand. You said, and you're referencing biblical scripture, right? Because I've always found it interesting that it's called script or scripture, or a script like a script for a movie or a script for a time or a script. But then I also know that, or at least I feel confident that I know that time repeats. Um, Generations repeat. Everything repeats. Morning, noon, and night. Our lives repeat. Spring, fall, summer, all this. And the moon cycles repeat. The sun cycles repeat. Everything repeats. So time must repeat. And I've seen a lot of evidence that makes me think that time itself repeats. So therefore, the Bible, um, it seems like to me that a lot of what's written into the Bible is script written almost from another time, because they know that there's nothing new under the sun, and these things will repeat. Just like back in the days of Babylon, where they built the tower, to the heavens, and it was a spinning type thing, a toroidal type tower that went in a spin, very similar to like a serpent kind of thing. And they built it in the center of the most powerful city in the world at the time, Babylon. And then here we have this thing in the Bible called Mystery Babylon. And then we've got New York City that looks like, there's even a town a community in New York City called Babylon. It's on Long Island. And there's all these other signs and things. And then they've got the tower, the Freedom Tower, that they took two buildings, combined them together, and they swirled them up again into a big Babylon temple looking thing, just more modern. And so it's like there's lots of signs and lots of ways that time repeats itself. Now, going back specifically to what you were saying about the Bible, I'm trying to understand, are you saying are you saying kind of like what I was saying there, like the Bible is a script maybe of a previous time, or a script written, I don't know, can you explain it a little bit better than I'm trying to?
So my beautiful girlfriend Angeline, she was deeply enrooted into Christianity, into church, and went to all the Bible schools and studies. And she's read the Bible 5 times. She read it twice in its original language and studied culture and cultures of when it was actually written. It was written in apocalyptic language for those people at that time, in order for them to maybe share what their view is on God, and try to teach people that there is this magnificent creation, and to teach them. And it came from more of a Jewish origin. This is Jewish stories about Jewish people telling people that their story of God and creation. And so basically it's their story that has been changed because scripture has been changed a lot. Every time there's new rulers, every time there's new languages, every time there's new people, they've changed things, changed wording, changed phrases. And so it's not exactly the same as the messages as there were. Like, there was no hell ever in the Bible, and there was, they called things like Gehenna, which was a burning, firing pit. It was a garbage dump where they disposed of bodies, where it was constantly burning. But now they've changed that all to hell, right? And so there's different interpretations of things. And I when she talks to me about the Bible, and we've done deep dives into it, I kind of see more of a preterist version of Revelations, that this was all the warning of things to come, and those things already did come and to pass. And so I think that they keep replaying this, fear of this is supposed to happen, because how do they control people? Through fear. How do they control people? It's always end of world's coming, apocalypse is coming, Revelations is happening. And whether it was this year or in year 2000 or in the 80s or the 60s or 100 years ago, it's always constantly this fear-based programming. And if people are on edge, if people are afraid, if people are, wondering about the mark of the beast and how, nobody's going to be able to feed themselves, then they're not truly in balance, and they're forgetting about the power. The kingdom of God is within you. You have the power. You were created in God's image, and when you're in alignment, you're not afraid, then it doesn't matter what the external does, because you're living in a higher vibration, that you're not affected like that. You're taking, it's good to know what's happening, but you want to also be able to, live your life without being afraid. Like, obviously boogeyman colds and all these other things that they're trying to make people afraid of. And that's what keeps people away from their true connection, the true power that God's instilled in each and every single one of your hearts.
Said perfectly. Said absolutely perfectly. And it does seem like to me that this thing has played out before. I mean, because ever since I was born, they've been telling us we were going to get blown up by nuclear weapons. They had me at 5 years old hiding under a desk in elementary school. Like, hiding under your desk, if the building's blowed up and the whole city's blowed up, it's going to do something. It would do absolutely nothing. But what it did was build and instill fear into your mind that the Russians or somebody was going to blow us up. It was going to do this. And here we are waiting our whole life until you get to the point where you wisen up enough to realize that all this is a script they're playing out. And it's easy to see also that they're the ones that are fulfilling very intentionally the different prophecies and scripts right out of the Bible. They're literally, they're like, okay, it's like Elon Musk is like, all right, I'm gonna play the role of the dragon and play this out in a symbolic way, because he is. I mean, the dragon is said to have 7 heads, right? And it blows fire like a rocket. And then he just happens to call his rockets and his capsules and stuff dragon capsules, right? And it says it has 7 heads, and his new starship that he's claiming he's launching is going to go to Mars. It has the seating for 7 heads in it. The starship seats 7, and so it has 7 heads, and it has all these horns, 10 horns. Well, it happens to be also that Starlink has built 9 rockets And the number 10th rocket is the biggest rocket ever built, and they're going to use it to launch the Starship they claimed going to Mars. They're going to use it to do that. So they're like just symbolically playing the roles out. I mean, not just Elon. I mean, to be honest with you, all of them are involved, including Trump, whether you want to like it or not. If somebody's watching, they go, "Oh, he said Trump's bad." What I said is that Trump is fulfilling Scripture. He's doing it in lots of ways. Most of it is symbolic, symbolism, the way he um, surrounds himself with different kinds of everything. His building that he lives in on the 66th floor, and the murals that he's got in his penthouse that's laden in gold. And it's murals of all these white horses, and then he's got Apollo statue sitting on his coffee table, and they're just literally playing it right out. I'll show you a better example right now, as a matter of fact, Jesse, and then I'm going to be quiet and listen to you some more, but I want to show you this real quick.
And on the side of Trump's building, he's got upside down triangles with six trees on each side of the triangle to make a 666 triangle with 6 trees on an upside down triangle. So there is lots of symbolism that makes you things that make you go,
Yep, there is indeed, and it's on purpose. I showed this recently, so a few of you guys have seen it that are watching, but I want to show it to you. What this is, Jesse, it is the uh, SpaceX launch patches for a particular mission back in, it was actually July 15th, I think it was, or the 25th of 2020. Okay, right in the beginning where they were rolling out the pandemic, right? And these patches were for this launch that they were doing, sending up a couple of satellites. And these patches, there's one of them that has a rider on a white horse, and there's one of them that has a rider on a red horse. And the one with the white horse is has a type of crown on the head, and has a bow with an arrow or a spear or whatever you want to call it, and it says "blow it," and it shows two crowns down here. As you can see, it says "Our time has come," and then it has a rider on a red horse that has a sword. It shows swords down here. It says "Our time has come," and I can't help but look at like Revelations 9:1. The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to, excuse me, I'm on the wrong Revelations. What is it? Revelations 6:1 maybe is what it is. Let me see. Nope. Why am I not remembering this correctly? I thought it was 9. I apologize, guys. Do you remember
all
what?
good, brother. Take
Do
your
you
time.
remember what that is? Let me. I can run a search for it real quick.
When it comes to some of these signs and symbols, and like you mentioned of Musk, and I think he's the ultimate troll. He likes to troll people. He likes to wear a Baphomet costume with upside down crosses. Is he doing that because that's what he believes, or is he doing that to get reactions out of people and to troll all the people that oh look, see, and it's bizarre how polarized everyone is. And we just try to look at everything objectively, like honest journalism. If someone does something good, it doesn't matter who they are, we can say it's good. And if someone does something, no matter who they are, that's not so good, we'll point that stuff out. We're not going to lead just because someone is who they are and they've done some bad things. We're not going to make excuses for, like we see a lot of people doing. And when shitty behavior is shitty behavior, And you need to call that out when it is. And good behavior is good behavior, no matter if it's done by Trump, Musk, or anybody. So I'm just looking, I'll know them by their fruits. And by their fruits, that's how I shall judge. And if, someone, repented, God touched their heart, no matter who or what they were, and they're repenting, doing better, and being better. I think that's what all that we're here for, is to do better and be better from the circumstances we've been given. And so it doesn't matter A to Z. If someone is doing good deeds, we need to, make sure that, we're saying that these are good things that are happening, and not just, no, that's deception, and like, well, it's still a good deed. We don't care what the reasoning behind it, as much as actually humanity benefiting from the things that are happening.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was able to find the scripture specifically I was referring to, and then we're going to move on from this because I want to dig into your mind some more. But this is talking about the four horses. Okay, it says, "Saw when the Lamb opened up one of the seals, I heard as it were a noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, 'Come and see.' And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." And then you come on down to the second seal. I heard a second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So when I look at symbolism, like this is SpaceX putting this out, and this was the National Reconnaissance Office that sponsored the satellites supposedly, and they're basically clearly symbolically showing the white horse with the white rider with the bow, with the crown, as you can see down here, and on the head, saying our time has come. And then you got the red horse and this white horse. What this is, I really believe it's something that presents itself as white. It's very powerful. It has authority, and it carries something that pierces. Well, to me, and this has been that horse has been riding for quite a while, but to me, that horse is the medical industry and the scientific industry and the pharmacia industry is that white horse. And now that white horse has been riding, and now it's really been riding with the plan demonic. And now we have them saying that this red horse, where it says that this rider will cause them to kill each other. And it's like, how, it's just my opinion, but how blatant can it get? That they're showing us that they're playing this script, they're rolling it out. And a lot of people will never understand it. A lot of people never see it. A lot of people, if I showed them this, would say, "Oh, you're pointing at a cartoon and saying it's this or that." Some people just never get it. But what are your thoughts on this, Jesse?
Yeah, well, again, I think they're using scripture and creating the symbolism to either troll or to get people to think that, look, prophecy's coming true, because these symbols are all they're showing us. And part of their doctrine, these, shot callers, puppeteers, the predator class, Luciferians, is that they got to tell us what they're going to do to us before they're going to before they do it, because they think they're going to be absolved from universal or karmic liability.
Take your wash your hands.
Yeah, because people are doing it to themselves, opposed to nobody forced anybody to stick anything in their arm and to inject any poison into them. Nobody forced anybody. As much as, you got pressure and jobs, there was no military coming door to door. So people willfully put this stuff into them. There was the biggest, marketing campaign ever. They spent $1 billion. They threatened travel. They threatened jobs. They threatened all this kind. But really, it was your choice to put that into you. And this is what they're about, is that they're making people, choose now technocracy, to the technocracy of
They want
choosing to upload your consciousness, become part of the mainframe. Like, look how many people are now sucked into this metaverse, into this computer world. How much time does each and every single one of you spend online opposed to spending it in real life with other people? Actually sitting down and eating with people, going out for meals, having dinner, and getting away from computer time, screen time. You see in a lot of restaurants, people can't get off their phone while they're even eating together. They're sitting on their phones, and not actually spending that time because we're being sucked into this, metaverse. And is that taking us away from our true natural beings? Are we turning away from God and turning into this, a technocratic world where AI, like, I've never actually even asked AI a question, except for like Google maybe is now AI or whatever, but I've never gone to chat GPT. I've never talked to an artificial intelligence. I just never aligned my energy with that. I just feel at this point in time, I know we've got a podcast and I could go into AI and do these amazing clips and get us out there and reach much more people if I've used AI. But for some reason, I've just never felt I wanted to align my energy with AI at this point in time. I don't know down the road, who knows, but I'm just at this point, I'm staying away from it. I'm trying to limit my screen time. I've spent enough time on the show. We do, 2 hours almost every single day. We've been trying to take weekends off, but like we have an interview tomorrow with Judith Very Baker, who is Lee Harvey Oswald's girlfriend, when they framed him for the murder of John F. Kennedy. So we're interviewing her tomorrow, an 80-year-old beautiful woman who's gone through some crazy stories, booking and, sharing out links and emails. And we spend so much time that it's nice to get away from that and go hug a tree and take the dog for a walk and have, dinner with, my beautiful girlfriend or my mom, or, just do things that are real life opposed to, having this internet being the full focus of our lives and gets people away from true reality. And I think that's what they want is, you're a lot more programmable if you're not growing your own food, you're not, having real relationships. You just suck in everything that this computer or screen or phone dictates to you, and
that's,
that's your reality.
I think that's why they call it the internet. And what is a net? A net is something that catches something. And what is inter? Means, of course, inside of something. And so, yeah, exactly. They are. It's literally a trap. And not only that, now they're saying they've got $80 billion that they want to build the trap bigger and better, and or at least $80 billion. Where they're wanting to build these Stargate AIs, and oh, they're going to hire a bunch of people, give them jobs. And when you're working for someone else, and I hate to say this, but it's just the truth, and I've done it most of my life, so I'm as guilty as anybody. But when a job is a involuntary servitude. You're working for somebody else's dream. If you're not working for yourself somehow in some way, you're just building someone else's dream.
Job
And
is just over broke.
yeah, exactly. You're never going to really make it with a job unless you sell out big time to some of the big industries like entertainment and or just sell out in general. Because if you're doing something like we do, they're going to shadow ban you. They're going to do all kinds of things to slow you down, make you want to quit, everything they can, because they do not want us to be successful and even be able to be comfortable, really. So it seems like a never-ending struggle, of course, and I know you can relate.
Yeah, 4 years of doing our show. It's coming up on 4 years, in about a month or so. We've done almost 1,000 interviews, and it's cost us more to put on what we're doing than we've actually, gotten for it. So basically, this is our service to humanity because we've made no money off of doing this, and we just feel God wants us to be doing this. We have no idea who's going to come next and who we're going to interview next. It's just wild. We're booked 2 or 3 months in advance always to get onto our show. We just presenting information, and we feel that this is what's in alignment. So if one day down the road where somehow it comes back to us, then great. But if not, I feel good that we're doing what we think we're in alignment and God wants us to be doing, and that's all that matters to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. So all these people you've interviewed, who who were either, not necessarily, doesn't have to be who, but who or what was some of the most surprising revelations that just stick in your mind that you always can't forget, that you learned in your journey so far, Jesse?
That's a good question. Well, I think some of it has to do with aliens and alien contact and things. Like, we had a lady named Elena Dannon who's come on our show, I think 3 or 4 times now. She's got quite a large following of people, and she got impregnated apparently by an alien when she was 9 years old, by some tall grays, and then some Nordics came and had to pull out the implant, and she's been communicating with these Nordics ever since. And it's just like, all these, like, I personally have never had a alien experience. I've never seen a demon. I've never seen a dark entity. I went through a time where I got stabbed 12 times and I had this voice of God or something talk to me, and I saw my body float away. I know of supernatural, I'm connecting and seeing, supernatural beautiful things every day, but I've never seen an alien, and I don't even know if that is actually even real, but people are having these experiences like this and communicating, and it's very profound that people really believe the experiences they're having. Do I say it never happened? No, I can't say that. But it did happen to them because my bullshit detector is really good, and they actually believe that this stuff has happened to them. Now, how do we explain it? Is it, again, supernatural, just giving them the experience that they need to have to help them with whatever it is their mission is or their journey? I'm not sure, but I know that it's very profound that there's many people, like we probably interviewed 100 people that have had experiences with some type of alien or some type of extraterrestrial. And I find that fascinating that so many people truly believe that these experiences they're having are real and that it's happened to them.
Yeah, I've talked to, not as many as you, to be quite honest, but I've talked to a lot of people in interviews, and it's some of the things that people testify in their testimony that happen to them are absolutely supernatural. And who am I to say that they're lying, you know? And like you said, I got a pretty good bullshit meter, because my whole life I've dealt with people. And I know we've all dealt with people, but it's different in my situation. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it right now, but I find it very interesting that people have these experiences that they believe, and I believe them. But yet, at the same time, like, well, I'll just say it like this: I don't believe in aliens myself. Okay, I believe we live in an enclosed system, and what we're looking at when we look up at the heavens is not what we've been taught. We're looking at another realm or other realms, but they're not a place that if we can get a big enough rocket, we can get to or something. It's something supernatural, that is above us. And I know that we are in the image. We said we were built in the image of God. And I can look at our bodies And I can see heaven and earth within us in many ways that I could explain. I mean, you can see the sun. You see the background behind us here in the studio? It's called a full sun halo. And under the right conditions, the sun makes an eye that when it comes up over the horizon, it opens up. And it has a pupil, it has an iris, it has eyelids, it has the white part of the eyes, as you can kind of see there. It has everything. And so here we have an eye in the sky that's the sun. And the sun itself is the pupil. And so you start looking at your body all over, everything about us. You can find the garden, you can find heaven and earth. It's all within us because, again, we are in the image of God, and God is in the image of all of creation, I think. He's built into it, you might say. And so, let's see, where was I going with that? It was awful good information, but I ran into a dead end road there for a second.
One thing that popped into my mind while you were saying that was at one point I felt like God was this giant being and the earth was inside of his eye. And like how you just mentioned, the eye opening and he's walking around and everything that's happening here on earth, all the experiences, and this is how tiny of a speck we all are, is just in the side of this magnificent creator. Is, we're the apple of the eye, we're inside of the eye of creation. And so, that was just some thoughts that I had. I obviously have no proof, behind that, but it was just fascinating to think.
Vision that.
Yeah, I visioned it.
A vision of it. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, because you look at the pupil of the eye, and it's called the pupil. If you look at the sun, okay, well, that's the pupil of the heavenly eye. And what is it looking at? It's looking at us. It's looking at creation. It's like, okay, we're the pupils. We're here to learn. We're here to try to figure all this stuff out. We're not here to be slaves. We're not here to be afraid. We're only here for a short period. Why you want to run around afraid? What you need to do is realize that if you're going to be here, you're going to be here. If you're going to die, you're going to die. None of that matters. What matters is the experience that we're going through and the attempt at trying to learn and not only learn, but to share what we learn with other people so that we're not alone on this journey, you might say, down here. Because when I can talk to somebody like you, and I would imagine you are the same way, it's really enjoyable to have a conversation with someone that you may not agree with on everything, but you agree on a lot and you can understand and relate to each other. Because like if you walk in the average grocery store and start talking to somebody, there'll come a point where you'll get this. Like the deer in the headlights.
The fluoride stare.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the fluoride stare. Exactly.
One thing I wanted to mention about when you were talking about how when you were, in, elementary school and hiding under the table about this big bad threat of nuclear war. And they, nuclear Armageddon, look at, and they even talk about these nuclear powers and look how destructive it could be. And they made us so afraid and they showed us these videos on, what could be the destruction. Well, didn't they drop, or they so-called drop, a nuclear bomb on Hiroshima? Didn't they drop a nuclear bomb, or so they say, on Nagasaki? If you look up a picture of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, of what it looks like today, less than 100 years, and there were supposed to be thousands of years of nuclear fallout and radiation. If you look at a picture of the city, it looks nicer than any city I've ever seen in America or Canada. It's bustling and green and buildings and it is beautiful, these cities of what it looks like. And this is where they dropped a nuclear weapon. This is what they've made us to be so afraid of, about nuclear war. And there's still these nuclear threats. And, and this is what a nuclear devastation city looks like, So was it a bomb? Yes. Did they drop it on a Christian church? So I've been told that that's where they actually detonated the Americans detonated these bombs on Christian churches in Japan. But this is supposedly nuclear fallout. Is that something looks like you should be afraid of?
And if you go over to in Russia where they had the supposed meltdown or whatever they called it or whatever happened there, where everything was going to be destroyed forever. What was the name of that place? The school.
Fukushima?
Well, Fukushima is another good example. Exactly. There's people there in Fukushima living right now, growing gardens and everything. But no, it was in Russia. It was
Oh, Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. If you pull up Chernobyl, it's the same way. The only thing is there's not as many people living there. Chernobyl. I know I ain't spelling it right, but
And I'm not sure if you're aware, but in Fukushima and Chernobyl, they planted hemp plants. And why hemp? Because hemp cleans radiation. So is there radiation from nuclear? Obviously. Is it, as devastating as they say? I don't think so. But hemp actually cleans the soil, cleans the air. If we really cared about our, environment, we'd be planting hemp plants and hemp trees everywhere, making papers, plastic, clothing, food out of all the hemp. That's what we should be doing. All these environmental warriors, climate change, lunatics, if they really cared, they will plant hemp everywhere. Take all crown land, take all government land. Instead of paying someone to mow the grass, plant hemp plants there. Why don't cities have fruit trees? And you care about homeless? Well, why don't you have trees that bear fruit everywhere that people could just eat if they were hungry? So these people that are social justice warriors, why aren't they actually trying to get real change of real things that can actually help everyone?
well, I think most of us already, including yourself, kind of know the answer in the fact that they don't want free people. They want us in a prison. They want us to build the prison, and then they want us to enter the prison. All voluntary. Like right now, they're building Stargate AI, right? Who do you think is going to build that? The people. They're going to pay you a wage. You're going to have a job that ain't going to change your life, but you'll make a little change, and you'll help build the prison, and then everybody will be in it. Unless we literally have some kind of real, I mean, a lot of people have woken up a lot. I would say in the last 4 years since the pandemic, there has been a great awakening. But there's a lot of division within it still as to what people believe or don't believe. And that division causes conflict. I mean, you can go on TikTok right now and you'll see all these channels that they've got their subject and they're talking about it, and they got guests coming on talking and stuff like that. And but they how would you say, they just seem to be kind of still lost, even though they understand a lot of the things, but they're still kind of lost. But we have had a great awakening in the last 4 years, but we need another great awakening. But you take, for instance, like a guy like me, a guy like you. The problem I always had with like guys like Alex Jones, for instance, is that he has this huge following. He's making all this money, scaring the heck out of everybody about everything, but he never has a solution. Yeah, he might sell you something. He says it's going to keep your hair growing, which I don't need. But they never have a solution like, okay, let's all sign up for this. We're all going to investigate this together, and we're going to come up with a plan of action as to how we're going to approach everybody in this state, everybody in this state. If you start doing that kind of thing, you know what they're going to do? They're going to call you a cult or a terrorist. And then what happens is you have the Matrix, Mr. Smith syndrome come over people, and they'll turn you in. Your neighbor will turn you in. Your sister will turn you in. They'll work against you and say, no, we want the prison. Don't be messing with my reality. I want the prison. And I'm going to go help them build it. Look, it's like, how do we escape this, Jesse? Do you have any ideas how to get out of this? What can we do together? me and you and other people, how can we work together and get out of this plane that's going down like that as a
Yeah,
country, at least?
yeah, crash collision course for destruction is what their current trajectory is on, is because people are too busy being adversarial with each other. And the only thing that they're afraid of is a united front. They don't care if you think blue or you think red. They don't care if you think it's contrails or chemtrails. They don't care if you think that there's only two genders or there's 50 genders. They only care that you fight about it. They only care that you're in conflict with others about it. They care that you're polarized to see people as your enemy. And that's the problem, because once people put down, like, say, hey, you can believe in anything you want as long as you're not harming me, my family, others, the environment, go ahead. You want to have sex with whoever you want to have sex with, but keep that private, keep that away from the children. Children shouldn't be taught about sex and sex changes and all these anal and all these crazy things that they're teaching like people in elementary school. Like, this has become more than insane. And so what people have to do is start working together. Say you had a clipboard and you had name, phone number, email address, and then, a couple questions. Does this person believe in this, plan demonic? Did this person believe in injections? Does this person, just a few questions, and just go around from door to door to door. Each and every person was listening, got a little clipboard. Now you would know who's on your side, who's not on your side, like you talked about, who would turn you in an instant. Now you can start building some alliances and make a little email list, and you could say, like, have a little, we're going to get together, start communing with people. Hey, I'm growing some tomatoes. Like last year we had 65 tomato plants and had 1,000 tomatoes. Oh, you're growing some beets. Would you like to trade? Start trading, start growing. Say, they can't control you if they can't, if basically they control people by their food. If at any time they shut off the food taps, because of the way they've created the system with logistics, that you're not eating the food from around your city. You're eating it from, it's coming in from Chile, it's coming in from Ecuador, it's coming in from here, and all the stuff from Alberta, Canada, is being shipped to the US or being shipped to there. So they make sure all these supply lines have to be done by their control and their logistics. But if you're grow your own food, if you don't have to worry about how you're going to feed your family, you're a lot less governable, you're a lot less controllable. So these are some things that people can do, some solutions. Get to know who's your alliances, who's on your side. If anytime something shit does hit the fan, who's got your back? Are you going to be a sitting duck by yourself, all holed up into your house? You got enough food, to how long are you going to survive with your food and your ammo? Or would you like to have some alliances? And, sure, we have this intranet where we've got all these different people from around the world, but how many alliances do you have in your community, in your city, in your state or province? If stuff goes, do you have some land you can go to? So these are things that people can be doing, to make these alliances and get us all stronger and less controllable by the beast.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said. I think we should start locally. As a matter of fact, I've done some of that. I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to show it. But I think that what you're saying about the food is a really good example of how they control us and keep us from, because, like, for instance, I wanted to, because it's not easy making a living doing what we do, right? Even though it takes all of our time. I wanted to start a little side business. Let me show you what it looks like here. Here we go. I wanted to start a little side business, and I called it Roadrunner's Kitchen. Okay. And it's where you could come on here and you could order meals that would be delivered or picked up the next day. And I also had a little thing going with a couple of local stores where um, we would do a cooking in the morning time. And for example, what we would cook, like this chicken, chicken perlo, chicken bog, what we call down here chicken bog or chicken perlo, here in the South. And it's a meal that you can cook it all in one pot. And it's basically chicken and rice and onions and the chicken broth and spices all cooked in one big cooker. And I went and I bought a big cooker. I mean, the cooker will cook 60 cups of rice. That's a lot of rice. And I started cooking. I had the website all built, as you can see here, with some different items that you could order to be delivered tomorrow, or you could go to these locations and pick up what was ready today. But what did they do? They had come in and said that I was going to be sued and that I was going to be fined and that I was going to this and that, and threatened us basically. And of course, they threatened the stores, and the stores wouldn't sell the food anymore, even though they were selling well. Uh, and so they shut me down so that way I can't have a little side business selling food. You know, it's of course it was very disappointing. But what I'm going to end up doing is actually I've made my mind up that I'm just going to give the food away. So I'm going to continue cooking, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down and give it to the homeless and to people that look like they need a hot meal. Just cook up a big batch of it, have it all in containers, which I already have all the containers bought. These are like the ones you get from the Chinese places. They're like a plastic tray with a plastic lid on them, pretty good size. I'm going to take it around and give it to the homeless, use it as a way to meet people, just hand them a plate of hot food, and here's your spoon, have at it, because I think that if you're doing good, and it's proved itself to me over the years, because somehow I managed to survive and keep the lights on, mostly is because of the supporters through the show and the people who appreciate it and everything. But they shot me down for selling food. All right, there's no law says I can't give food away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it away. And really, if you think about it, that's what we should be doing already. We should already all be helping each other and as a community working together, your neighbors. And I know it's hard to work with some neighbors, but you got to find out who you can work with. And then you can start trading and bartering and doing things. Because what I've learned about the beast system is that it can only engage you where you engage it. Give you an example. They own the banks. So don't be surprised when your bank account's closed and they keep your money. Okay? They own YouTube. So don't be surprised when they terminate your channel. They own the corporations. Don't be surprised when they say, I know eggs used to be 99 cents a dozen. They're now $7. That probably sounds cheap to you up there. But, they control all this stuff, but they can only, everywhere that you can take away a piece of their power by not participating in a system is more power that you have. So, like, I've got a chicken coop I built in the back that I haven't put any chickens in it yet, but it's ready. And as soon as it warms up just a little bit more, I'm going to have chickens. So that way I can have my own eggs, no more $5 a dozen. I just go out in the backyard and pick them up.
You could maybe get them for. So my buddy who's got an acreage, he just told me that he got 200 chickens free from the Amish people, the Hutterites we call them here. So every certain they've got to get rid of their chickens. They only keep them for so long, and I think they had 10,000 chickens that they needed. He took 200 of them, and because they're in such confined spaces, they didn't have feathers and stuff. And once he had them in his chicken coop, after a couple months, they started to grow back all their feathers, and they produced the most amazing eggs. I get my eggs from the Hutterites, and I have for maybe 7, 8, 9 years. They don't use the chemicals, the injections. They don't use this kind of stuff on their animals. I didn't, I like their dark yellow yolk eggs, but just
Yeah.
for example, reach out to these Amish, these Hutterites. They like people as much as they're secluded. They've got really good eggs and meats and things like that if that's
Mhm.
what you're looking for. But also ask them, just say, hey, I'm looking to get 200 or 100 or 50, whatever you're looking for, chickens. Do you guys have, live chickens for sale? Do you guys get rid of chickens? So I heard that sometimes you guys give out free chickens. Just ask them, and who knows, you might be able to get a whole bunch of chickens for free.
I think I'm going to take that advice, and I'd recommend all of you out there to take that advice. It don't take much. I mean, the chicken coop I built, 90% of it was just scraps that were laying in the woods and in the yard and around and stuff. I took some old boards and that were out there in the woods, literally, when I moved in this place, drug them out of the woods, and they were 2x6s. They weren't brand new, but they were still sturdy. So I just took them and split them into 3 boards. So now I got 3 10-foot 2x2s, and then built myself a chicken coop out of it. The only thing I really had to buy was the wire, basically. Oh, and a little tarp to go on the top. But all the boards and all the screws and nails and everything, I just found all that and repurposed it and built it. And I know somebody's going to say, well, chicken coops are illegal here. Why are you still there? For one question, you shouldn't be somewhere where you can't use your own property to a decent level. And to be honest with you, if chicken coop was illegal here, I'm a smart enough man. I'd figure out a way to work around that. It would be, you'd have to make it not look like not a chicken coop. Well, whatever you got to do, you got to you got to try, because we've got to, as we start talking about this, what can we do, Jesse? Is we've got to think. You got to pull yourself out of every system that you possibly can. And I know they're doing everything they can to pull you into the systems, especially the medical industry. I mean, they're doing everything they can to get people to participate in the marketplace and all this stuff. They want you on every pill they can get you on. Not one of the pills is going to cure anything you got. It's just going to take care of a symptom, and then it's going to give you 3 or 4 other illnesses that you're going to need 3 or 4 more pills until you've taken 10, 15 pills a day and you're sick as a dog.
The
And that's
problem is, yeah, the problem is that they could actually help you. The pharmaceutical industry, if it wasn't this sorcery, this black magic, they
mm,
take a natural substance and make a synthetic copy of it so they can patent it and hold it as their own. But in most of the things that are helping some of people's symptoms is because it's coming from natural substances that they've now patented, made synthetically, which is now harming you in other ways. They may actually help you for a certain, symptom or whatever, but it's actually hurting you. But if we actually got back to herbs and dandelion and mullein and, burdock root and real, like real, things that God gave us,
yes,
that's where the real healing comes. And that's why people that are herbalists and naturalists and naturopaths are more, and even frequency based medicine is getting a lot more popular, because this is real stuff that God gave us, and we don't want their synthetic pharmaceutical black magic copies.
and some people say, well, Jesse, I I need those things. I need those things because I have this problem or whatever. They've been convinced they've got this problem or whatever. And they say, so what, how can I do this? Well, I'm going to show y'all guys something here real quick here, just a second. If I can get this to open. That's not a good one. You see, I believe that everything we need medicine wise exists. Here we go. I believe everything we need medicine wise, like Jesse's just saying, exists here on Earth, here with us, around us. What you got to realize is that you got to go out there and you got to look at those 4-leaf clovers or three, the clover, and realize which ones of those clover can you put in your salad and eat it because it's an herb. You're cutting and trying to kill the clover and its food, and you're growing the grass and you can't even eat it. I mean, you got to have two stomachs and to be able to, two or three stomachs to be able to eat grass because it's got too much fiber in it. But like, give you an example here. What I like to use is the way I explained is what you want to do is look for foods that look like a body part. Okay, this is just a picture I pulled up real quick. A good example in this would be ginger. Ginger, it comes from underground. It's a root, right? Where are our roots? Our roots are in our stomach. We could carry our roots around with us. A tree puts its roots down into the earth and pulls out the minerals. We take the earth and put it in our mouth and swallow it. And our roots are inside of our stomach. So you want to find roots and things that grow underground that look like problems that are inside of your body. Like if you got stomach problems, we all know ginger is a good thing. Why? Because it looks like the stomach. It even is the similar color to the stomach of your normal intestines. You can look at walnuts. Walnuts are in the crown of the tree. This is our crown. Walnuts are in the crown of the tree. And they're in a hard shell. And if you crack it open, it looks just like a brain. You don't think that's a hint? And I ain't talking to you, Jesse, I'm talking to the viewers. You don't think that's a hint that the brain looks like a walnut and a pecan and other kinds of nuts? It's the creator's way of trying to show us. But if we're too busy to not stop and think, you're never going to get it. If you take, for instance, celery, okay, what does celery look like in the body? Well, that looks like a tendon or muscle. Look up celery and see what it's good for. It's good for tendons and muscles. Look at banana. What does a banana look like? It looks like a muscle, where the tendons connect on the end and the muscles in the middle. Look up a banana and you'll find out that it's really good for your muscles in your body. And so all these pharmakeia things out there, try to get away from it. You got to get away from it. We all do. We're all guilty. This isn't judgment. This is saying, here's a revelation for you. The food and cures are all around you. You just got to go out and start looking and not be complacent and keep going to the grocery store where we don't even know. It might say organic. It might say all kind of pretty words. Non-GMO. I see that in the grocery store all the time. Yet something tells me they're still lying because they're liars.
Just remember, if it's got an ingredients list, it's, and they're telling people, well, you should read the ingredients to see what ingredients are in there. It's a warning label. Mm-hmm. Real food only has one ingredient, right? Real food doesn't need a list of ingredients to tell it what it is. And what's this natural flavoring? Do you notice how most things you buy, it says natural flavoring? Well, if you look into a company called Seminex does used aborted fetal cells to enhance flavors, and they can feed you things called natural flavoring because it's natural from an aborted fetus. So you don't know if you're eating something that says natural flavoring, what that actual natural flavoring is. And it seems like part of this craziness that people are going, this gender dysphoria, these, crazy thoughts, suicide, all these type of things, is because it seems like they're trying to feed people back to themselves with the either the stuff they're injecting in their bodies or the stuff they're feeding them. If you're feeding other DNA, you're giving it to your kids and by stuff they're, needles putting into them or, food and stuff, of course your body's going to be going crazy inside because, you're having other DNA inside of it.
Right. One thing people miss a lot too, Jesse, you said the word DNA and it triggered me to remember this, is that seeds, like if you go and you're going to eat a peach, you need to bust, if you're not going to plant that seed, You need to bust that seed open and eat what's inside, even if you just swallow it. But you don't want to just swallow the seed, because a seed like that can pass through your system and you never get any of the nutrients out of it. You want that DNA and that material that's inside that seed. And you want to do it with a lot of seeds. You don't want to just throw anything in your mouth. Do some research, do something. But you need to realize you need to eat a lot more seeds. Like an apple seed a day keeps a doctor away. Where did that saying come from? And I wonder how old it is. Because normally something like that, there's something behind it. And if you take that seed, apple seed, and you just swallow it, it'll pass right through your system. But if you crack that seed and eat it, apple seed a day, keep the doctor away.
Well, think about corn, and with now 90% of corn. Like when I just drove last September. I helped drive a buddy of mine from Alberta, which is just above Montana, to his house in Key West, and he's got a house on the ocean there. And he wanted me to help him drive his dogs, and we went through America, driving all through, and it was amazing. Almost every place we went to, it was blue skies, except for Nashville. All of a sudden I saw the chemtrails, and people were like, yeah, well, they made it illegal for chemtrails in Tennessee. And I was like, that was the only place that I actually seen them. So it was, it was kind of crazy. But all of the fields we saw everywhere across America, state by state by state, were all genetically modified corn and soy. Corn and soy. That's everywhere. What are they making? High fructose corn syrup from genetically modified corn, soybean oil, canola oil. These are all, supposedly it was done for, car, like for engine oil that wasn't ever supposed to be fed to humans. But when I just ate some corn recently, we just had some, Oriental food, and, there was some corn in there. And every time I went, number 2, there's full pieces of corn. It's just all the corn that I ate. It didn't get processed. It get just shot right out. So how can something that you eat go through all your digestive enzymes, go through that 10 kilometers of intestines that you have, get processed through your body, and it doesn't even break it down even like a little bit? It's full corn chunks. And basically every corn I ate, I could see in the other side. So just watch what you eat. And this modified stuff, wheat is among the worst thing that you can be putting into the body. They used to have, before it was, I think it was in the 50s or 40s or 50s, they changed to genetically modified wheat, and then they also changed the milling process. So we're very iodine deficient, because we used to get iodine from the wheat, but no longer, because they've taken that out from the milling process. So wheat is what they call, there's a book called The Wheat Belly, if you want to learn a little bit more about that. And it's amazing. You can have the best regimens and exercise, but it's hard to get rid of this extra weight we have, because a lot of the stuff out there is poison. And you go hang out in another country that's away from North America, and all of a sudden 2-3 months later you slim right down, because you're not eating the toxic poison stuff that is in most, and even fruits and vegetables. Do you know that 2 years, sometimes up to 2 years, you can have an apple and it could have been in the storage for 2 years, because they put wax coatings and things on it? It's nothing fresh. You're very rarely, unless you're going to farmers markets and actually getting your stuff fresh, you go to any supermarket, most of the stuff has been there for months, sometimes even years, before you actually even consume it.
Yeah, but if you do go to a farmer's market, what I always do is ask them, where did this come from? Where did you get it? Half the time I get, oh, I bought it somewhere. They didn't grow it. What you want is, you want to find stuff that you're talking to the farmer or his daughter, or maybe to the backyard hobbyist gardener. You want to make sure that you think you're buying the real deal and you're still getting GMO. We really have got to make an effort, guys. Look, you may say, I live in a condo, I can't grow anything. No, you're lying to yourself. There are a lot of things you can grow, especially herbs. You can grow them right there at the sink by the window inside your condo. There are just lots of things you can grow right inside. Well, it won't look
Tower
good.
gardens. Tower gardens. They have tower gardens where you can actually create with a light and a tower garden. You can grow basically anything in your own little condo.
There you go. Yeah. And stop with this. Well, that ain't gonna look good in my house. Well, starving to death, looking good. You got to drop that dream that you grew up in and realize that you don't need to be growing grass. You don't need to be doing these nonsense stuff. Quit being dumb as I've always been. You know, think, think, and do something. Don't just think. Have some action. Do something. Grow something. And that's a way out. You see, you're taking away that power from them controlling your food. The more you can do yourself, and I know you say, "Well, I don't. Ain't no way I'm gonna be able to grow a cow. I don't have enough. I've only got a half an acre." Well, you need to find yourself a new buddy that owns some acreage, that's growing some cows, or maybe that's willing. Say, you get the calves. And say, all right, well, let's work out a deal. I'll grow them on your land, and this is what you get, and this is what I get. You can't just be complacent and continue to be a slave, guys. We're a slave to their system, and we're helping them build it. We've got to stop it.
Food security is how they got you, right? The less
Who's the
you
big one?
are dependent on their system, on their food, the less you're dependent, the less you're controllable, the less you're governable, the more freedom, the more you are living in God's image, that God would be proud of you for not participating in the beast system. We can come up here and talk and complain and bitch, and we could do this week after week and year after year, but unless you're actually like faith without works is dead, where you actually can make God proud by not participating in that beast system.
Yep, exactly. We have to realize, like I said earlier, that the beast system can only control you where you engage it. It's your choice. You're the one that's making the choice to not grow your own food. Well, I can't do it in this condo. Get out the condo. Make some choices that will lead you to where you can. Well, we ain't got time. The world's ending next year. Really? No, it ain't ending next year. We don't know. I don't know, and you don't know when and what if it ever happens. This world's been here a long time, and it's going to be here a long time. It's just a matter of where we're going to be. And where they want us is in the grave, because they don't need us anymore. They've got transhumanism figured out. They've got robotics figured out. They've got AI figured out. They can take AI and replace probably half the jobs in the United States with it.
99%, I think they're at right now.
It may be 99. I mean, but I walked into a store yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple days ago. It was a gas station getting a little bit of gas. And all the cash registers were facing me. There was like 5 of them. I'm like, holy crap, this is self-checkout. And there was one lady standing there. And I walked up and I said, she was helping me. I said, so how long is your job going to last for? Because they didn't replace everybody else. She says, oh, I plan on being here for a while. I said, how long are they planning on you to be in there for? Because it looks right now, as soon as everybody learns how to run this little touchpad, you ain't going to have a job. Her eyes was like, because people just don't think, they just slaves in line. Another brick in the wall kind of deal.
Well, it's going to get to the point where most jobs are obsolete, and then they're just, if they haven't genocided you by now or by then it'll be universal basic income, and that'll come with a set of rules. You need to take whatever, inject whatever, in order they want to have carbon credits where your carbon footprint where if you eat too much meat or you travel too much, well, you'll be restricted. If they catch you, like social credit system in China, if the camera, they've got 1 billion cameras in China, 1 billion cameras. Can't even fathom that number, but they've got 1 billion cameras in China that
Ah,
if you jaywalk across the street in the wrong place and they catch you with their facial recognition, which they have on system on all their cameras, they send you a ticket. And if you have enough tickets, then your social credit score goes down where you can't even go on a bus or you can't even get gasoline or you can't buy certain foods if your social credit goes down. So again, start growing your own food, start finding people with acreages, meld together with people that are going to come together. Hey, we're going to have 10 or 12 of us are going to go in on some land together, get some land, get away from the cities. If you really feel this revelation is the time and now, what was Jesus warning everybody about? To get out of the city. The city is where they were, have their ultimate control, meaning
yeah,
you're a lot less governable, controllable when you're with some good people away from the cities, growing your own food, taking care of your own animals.
yeah, yeah. Guys, we really, really need to be doing these things. Um, Jesse, I think we could talk all day, to be quite honest with you, but I know we're already almost at an hour and a half. So, um, guys, I'm going to drop, let me do this real quick. Jesse's main platform, okay, guys, where he does the most at is Rumble, okay? So, I ask y'all guys, if you've got a Rumble account, go over there and I put the link in the comments just now. Please go over there here in just a moment and subscribe to Jesse's channel. He's got 11,800 followers on there. But if y'all guys have hung around listening to us talk, wouldn't you want to hear from Jesse again? So go over there and subscribe. You can subscribe on YouTube as well, but it's less dependable to be around. But I'm going to drop that link in the comments right now. So there's Jesse's YouTube link. And you said you use Twitter a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Or
So
X, as
Facebook,
they name it
yeah,
now.
I call it Twitter. I don't buy,
Well,
I don't go into their, whatever their names are. It's once it's
yeah,
Twitter, it'll always be Twitter to me. So I'll always say that. But Facebook was always my main social media platform. In 2020, 5 days before we were going to put on our first truth telethon, where we had 26 truthers go back to back to back, they deleted my 13-year Facebook account with no ability to appeal it. And then, we just a couple months ago had our LinkedIn account deleted. We've had 7 YouTube channels deleted. So it seems like they're, trying to hinder progress, but we
yeah,
just continue moving forward. So most of the stuff that I post and things are on Facebook and so I'm trying to do that more on Twitter. And we also got a Telegram channel where I'm trying to do some posts and things, but Rumble for our interviews is our main channel where we would love for people to subscribe if you can. Find us in these other places. But just remember, we interview everybody from every walk of life. You may like somebody and agree with somebody one day, and you might think, what the heck is he interviewing that person the next day? And you're totally against it. Just be respectful when you come. That's all we ask for. If for some reason, God wanted me to interview somebody, if I wanted to interview somebody, it's for a reason. And just be respectful of the people that we have on. You don't have to make some grand exit of why you think this person is the most horrible person. I can't believe they're on my show because it looks Gotta just move on to the next. But like, I'm just letting everyone know that one day someone will come on and love Trump and think he's the savior, and the next day someone's coming on talking about he's the Antichrist. So we're just doing journalism and interviewing everybody from every side of the fence. We don't ever tell anybody what to think. We just want to give you all kinds of information so you can choose what's best for you and your family during this pivotal time in history.
Jesse, I wanted to ask too, which we can handle this off the live, but um, there's a couple of people that you've interviewed that I specifically want to try to get a hold of.
100%. Shoot me whoever it is, and I'll give you the contact information.
Cool. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you've heard something that's making you think. Maybe think in a new way, a better way. I really do hope that, and because that's the intention. Because money is not the intention for what we're doing. Because I used to make, when I was in the real estate business, which I could still be doing if I wanted to. I'm well capable of doing something like that. I used to make $20,000 to $40,000 every month for like almost a decade. 20 to 40,000 a month. That was a lot of money. But what happened was when I was making all that money, there come a day where they could just take it all away from me, took everything away and burned me down to the ground, because I was heavily engaged into the system. You see, I was selling real estate, putting people in long-term loans, 15, 30 years to pay off a house, just somewhere to live. You got to spend your whole life to pay it off. How ridiculous is that? But they've got control of all these things. And when you're engaged at a high level like that, they can at any moment. And they did. They did, using various methods. But we're not here for money. We're here to try to help y'all guys learn something, think differently. We're trying to do work that we believe our Father would have us do. So, with that being said, Jesse, I greatly appreciate you being here again today, brother. And I hope in a little bit of time, because I know how busy you are, but I hope you'd come back and chat with me again.
And you come back on our show. I always love chatting with you. So I definitely, if you'd like to come back on our show in March or April, there's definitely a spot available for you as well.
Might as well go ahead and just line me up, because you got a pretty good line going. And actually, I've got my niece, which she's been here in the chat. Her name is Roxy, and she has signed up with me. Signed up. I use that very loosely. She said, "Uncle Danny, can I?" I asked her if she would do this, and she said yes, and that is to be a recruiter. Because a lot of times I don't have time, because it takes a lot of time to go hunt down somebody's contact information, because people like us, well, I'm different and you're different too, Jesse, but a lot of people who do this kind of stuff, they don't put their information out there to be found, because they don't really want to be found. You know, some people, there's still a fear element. Me, I put it all out there. You can call me on the phone right now. The number's on the website. And, or send me a text right now. It's very easy. As a matter of fact, let me show you a number here. That way, if you run across something very interesting that you want to make sure I see, you can, oops, that's the wrong number. That's the right number. You can send that text with any, like a supernatural story, a testimony to it. You can send in photos of something you've seen. Or if it's a video, you'd probably want to email that to LogicBeforeAuthority@gmail.com. That way I can get that, because it reduces the quality when it comes through a text too much. But with all that being said, Jesse, again, thank you very much, brother, for being here today. Y'all guys, please go on over there and subscribe to Jesse's channel. He deserves it. The man has put in some enormous amount of work and deserves a little support. And it doesn't cost you anything to go over there and subscribe. And if you don't have a Rumble account, they're free. It's very similar to YouTube, except for there's quite a bit more freedom of your ability to express yourself and not have to worry about getting shot down at any moment. Wake up in the morning, go pull up your account, and it's gone, like I've had to deal with 4 times and Jesse 8 times. So I love you guys. I send my love to Jesse and his family. And we will see y'all guys again real soon here on The Supernatural Show.